Hey guys, Kevin with On Point Pro Styles in Gainesville, Georgia. We're gonna make a video, or we're gonna do this video covering tint removal. And I gotta remove the window tint from the front of my F-150. And there's a couple of different ways to go about removing window tint. I've used a few of them, not all of them, but I'm gonna discuss a couple of them that I have used and those that I've seen. And we'll go over, you know, the different options of how to remove window tint with obviously the least amount of effort, and number one goal is to try to get as much glue off with the tint as possible. So we'll go over a couple of those different procedures and I'll tell you about them. So let's check it out. All right, so the first method I want to talk about is the classic, it's my go-to, a steamer. Now this is the Jiffy J2 steamer. TintDepot.com sells these amongst other places, but Tint Depot has them for a good price. But it's got what they call the steam blade, or what Jiffy considers, I think they call this the steam blade, specifically designed to concentrate the steam at the tip of this and blow it at a high speed to concentrate your steam on the tint. So steaming the tint obviously heats it up, and the glue being warm helps remove the tint off the glass and take what you'd hope is most of the glue or all of the glue with it. That's my preferred method. That's how I'm going to do this truck here. I have this black trash bag in my hand. You've probably seen me waving it around this entire video. There's another one called the black trash, or the black bag method, or bag method, sweating it. So you take basically a black trash bag and you'll open it up fully. You'll cut the sides and the bottom to make it a gigantic sheet. You'll lay it on the outside of your glass like you would if you were tinting it, and then you'd rough cut it oversized to the size of the glass. Then you'd get inside and you'd spray. I've heard of people using 401 degreaser. I use personally, if I have to use that method, I use ammonia and water. Usually about a 50-50 mix. Some people use straight ammonia. It's really tough to breathe. So take caution, obviously any necessary cautions when doing that. But anyways, you'll spray the entire inside of the glass, and you take now your big black sheet, you'd move to the inside after you spray the whole inside of the glass, and then you cling that sheet to the entire inside of the glass. And preferably park it in the hot sun, or the sun anyways. The sun beating down on that blackness obviously retains the heat, creates a lot of heat on the inside. Every 20 minutes or so, you might peel it back and reapply your solution and then put it back on there. And usually after an hour or two, you can usually grab the corner of the tint and peel it right off. I have done that busy days at my shop. If I have a removal on a trouble window and I've got other cars I can tint, I'll cut out a trash bag real fast, spray it, cling it on there, park it in my parking lot. I'll do a couple of windows, go out, respray it, and I don't have to sit and babysit a steamer, because you do have to basically sit there the whole time using your steamer, so it can be a little bit time consuming. But I try to use the steamer where I can, or at least schedule my day to allow me to do that. But the bag method, that's another one. I've heard of people using clear old liners, just the window tint liner they peel from an old piece or back window, they'll use those. It's clear, so I don't know that on a lighter tint that it's going to get that heat process that you want. You want it to get hot. So I don't personally, I've never tried that, but I've heard people do that and they say they're successful with it. Another one I see that's becoming more popular is they'll create a curtain on the inside, basically using the same method, and they'll take their steamer head, so they're kind of combining the two. They'll take their steamer head, they'll lay it inside in the corner on top of the dash or something, or they'll find something to prop it up with that steam blowing across the glass, and then they'll take that bag and they'll cover the entire glass with it, basically trapping that steam and heat inside the curtain, or the cover anyways. So a couple different ways to do it. The end result is you want to get as much glue off as you possibly can, and the whole piece of tint off in one piece. If there is glue left over, we'll talk about a couple of options with that. But those are the 3 or 4 main ways that I know of to remove window tint successfully. So I'm gonna show you how to use the steamer, because that's the way I do it here 9 times out of 10. Obviously for time purposes, maybe we'll do this on another video when we have some time, or a car that we can do that with, and I'll show you the bag method. But today we're just gonna use the steamer. So we're gonna get set up. I'm gonna get this thing fired up and hot, and I'll show you what we do. Okay, so my Jiffy steamer's been warming up. I can see that the tip of it is now blowing out a lot of steam. Just kind of show you, I don't know if you could be able to see the steam blowing off or not. Maybe on the glass, you can see it steam up. So we've got good pressure coming out of it. One thing to note is this line, it'll get a lot of moisture in the line. So as you're using it, the line swoops down. As you're using it, you'll hear it start to gurgle a little bit. And you'll need to actually raise the line up to dump that moisture back into the machine so you'll continue getting good pressure. But we're gonna get it set up inside the car, give you a better view, and I'll show you how I remove the tint. Okay, so we're back in the truck now. I didn't know you can see this all that well. You're probably looking at this and going, what in the world is that cutout? So, short story, before this had a touch screen with a reverse camera in it. It had the old style radio in it. So for backup cams, I do a lot of towing. I used an aftermarket backup cam and I mounted it to the glass right here. And it was already mounted when I tinted it. So I cut around the mount and then cut a slit in the top, and then since have upgraded the system in the truck, and there's your short story. So we've got the steam blowing off of this. What you want to do is concentrate your steam onto the tint, move it around a little bit. You kind of want to steam up a large area. You can't get too big with it because by the time you start to heat up over here, this is cooling off. So you want to kind of just go slow. And that's really the trick to this. A lot of people I watch with steamers forget that too hot and the glue gets tacky and then wants to kind of stay on the glass because it's gooey, and then not hot enough, you're peeling the film away from the adhesive, leaving the hard adhesive behind. So we're just gonna heat it up, and then I've got me a razor blade here, and that's how I start my tint. I've sometimes did it by picking it with my fingers. Watch your hands, this is 200 degrees, so it will burn you. I'll get me a spot started. Don't put your hands in front of the steamer. Once that spot started, you know it's warm. You can tug on the film and right away see, did you add enough heat? The glue right now is coming off with the tint, and that's exactly what we want to see. If it's too hot, you'll notice strings, like gummy strings of tint, staying behind on the glass and separating between the tint and the glass. That means that it's getting a little bit too hot. Now this isn't a foolproof method. I've done this plenty of times and left glue behind. It doesn't work every single time, but it works very well most of the time. So heat up that area again. I want to peel this off in one piece. I don't want it separating, so I'm going to try to get this to come down at the same point. Just like that. Perfect. You can see the tint's pulling off fairly easy. So now we're just going to run the steam and I'm not using heavy pressure with my hand to pull this. I'm pinching it and pulling, but I'm not snatching the film off the glass. I want to almost use the weight of my arm. I'm holding the tint and then just kind of relaxing my arm, and then the tint just kind of starts to fall off. And guys, patience with this, you know? Don't run yourself ragged saying, oh, I ain't got time for that, and then just rip the whole piece off the windshield. Hey, if that's how you want to do it, rip it all off and then just scrape all the glue off with a razor blade, have at it. I choose to be a little bit more patient. I don't like to use razor blades on glass too much. I do, because it is needed, but I try not to if I don't have to. So once you get a really big line going, it starts to get a little bit harder. So I'll start to pull the bottom, and then I'll pull the top, and then I'll pull the bottom, and I'll pull the top. So right now I'm gonna pull this corner out. Oh, another trick, don't let the tint stick back to the glass if you can. See, when it's popping like that, it means it's pulling off prematurely. So you wanna that was me, going too fast. But the tint sticking back to the glass, the adhesive layer is still sticky on the tint right now. So if it rests back on the glass, a lot of times it'll leave glue lines, and that's pretty annoying too. Whoop, luckily the glue came off by doing that. Plus my truck was sitting in the sun, so this windshield's still fairly hot, which is making it a little bit easier. It's another thing is, if you're gonna do a strip or a removal, start doing it right away after you bring it in from the hot sun, at least in the summertime. But for all intents and purposes, you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying not to let it do that, but it's doing that anyways. Again, probably because of it sitting outside. I'm just gradually heating it up and just gently pulling on it. And right now, I'm glad to hear that because it's pulling the glue with it. Although on a cold windshield, you don't want to hear that. That usually means it's leaving glue behind. So anyways, that's the gist of it. I'm gonna do that all the way across. I'll show you the end result once I get it pulled off. You can see I'm just, I'm staying steady, nice and casual. This entire process took me 10 minutes. So I definitely have 10 minutes to remove tint in a fashion that many times removes the glue with the tint, and that's any tinter's end goal. And just like that, let's take a look on that windshield. No glue. All right, a couple of noteworthy things. Those steamers can run a few bucks. Especially if you're starting out, that might not be an investment that you want to take right this second. So you might look into other options. Well, what other options are there? If you're looking to steam, which I think is a fantastic method, works really, really well, then look at your big box retail stores. They make cheaper steamers. You can find them for a wide array of prices, but you can pick up a cheap one to get started. They're garment steamers or upholstery steamers. Some of them might have like a wide steaming head on it. And I've seen guys where they cut that head off of it and they just use the hose, and that works. I'm a professional tint shop, and that said, this one blows out a little bit more or a little bit harder, and it's a professional piece of equipment. I can count on this thing for years. And I've been using it for years. So that's the direction I would push toward if I were to advise you of anything, but there are other options. So let's talk a little bit about, I don't see any glue on this. Now I'm gonna clean it with my slip solution and scrub it really well in case there's little bits that I don't know of. There's a tiny bit here for that intensive purpose. I'm going to show you what I use now. Tint Depot's website has a lot of glue removers or adhesion removers. Those are great options. I've used some other products from other places as well that are great options. But again, starting out, if you want, I use Awesome Degreaser. It's pretty simple. So I spray the glue with it, and the Awesome brand works pretty good to break down the glue to where I can just hit it a little bit with a razor or even a white scrub pad, and that glue comes right off. So, but like I said, there's some good options on Tint Depot's website for specific adhesive removers, so check those out. Now that we're back to fresh, it's literally just tinting this windshield. We've got videos on that. We're not gonna cover it in this one, but I hope that helps somebody. If you have any questions, reach out. TintDepot.com, all the tint tools you'll need. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.